find out, and I will take notes like I usually do. Okay. Okay, I have some good news. Teresa has agreed to be part of our panel, as has Stephanie South, but Stephanie no longer lives in Wakefield.
That's okay. It's not a requirement.
Okay, she lived in Wakefield for like 20 years. And she's originally for Germany, so she would be our European representative. Teresa, our South American. Sarah Team would be Caribbean, and we're still hoping, and I'm still trying for someone from Asia and maybe someone from Middle East or Africa. That would be fantastic. You know, a whole variety of people from different places. Everyone who I've spoken to has asked me, well, I told them that, you know, we'll probably, if we have to be virtual, we would like to have a brief unmasked segment at the beginning so people can see them and hear from them without the mask before we do a more live interactive interview where everyone is masked.
So Barbara, does it make sense, Barbara, for you to talk a little bit about what you've done in the past? I know you sent me a YouTube video this morning about Room to Read, right? And how they handled it.
Yeah. We've been doing both, you know, Zooms and Zoom webinars. So just forget the webinar part because we don't need to do that. But Room to Write was last week, and Colleen facilitated a group of authors that first of all had pre-taped, pre-videoed with like probably iPhones on their own, a set of, you know, what, you know, their little promo. So you could have the 6 panelists do a little promo ahead that's a video, get it to us about at least a week ahead, and then we put it in whenever you want. What the Zoom things are things like the housing, the building project housing forums and things like that. To an extent, they're really the way things are going. A lot of the library things, learning things are really going this way. People are comfortable with them. You know, they don't like it, but they're getting used to it. So I don't want to ramble here, but I would suggest, even though you might think you could do a live one, there could be a spike and then you wouldn't have prepared enough for a virtual one. So I would suggest going this route. And Amy Couture, one of our staff, she does all that technical stuff for you. You know, you tell people how to do it. Horizontal is very, very important. We don't want any TikTok looking things, you know, the vertical is what people do because it's easy. But anyway, so I would say, you know, at least a week ahead, you'd want to gather those. And then Maureen, of course, is very comfortable with Zoom also. She's using Zoom a lot. So she could be the moderator of the whole thing. And then a couple of WCAT people would be in the background. You never see them. And they would be helping you with the mechanics of, you know, show this video, let people talk, who's going to talk, and all that. Now, the other aspect to this, to get to that point, is you have to have a registration system. And I've used the library and the community calendar, where actually that you drive people to that because it gives you the reminders. And then at the very end, it gives you the link. And it would be our Zoom link. It'd be the WCAT link. It wouldn't be Sherry Dalton's. But so I haven't heard back from Jackie Powers, but I looked at the examples on the community calendar, and there are things like this. I think they'd be happy to do that for us. And so then what you need is your graphics or your theme or whatever. You'd be doing that anyway. I looked at the internet on this year's International Women's. Have y'all spent any time on that with the bias, beat the bias or something? Are you gonna use that? I found it kind of awkward to figure out, but I figured it out. But anyway, so Amy would kind of gather this all together. And then you have participants. And chat is one way to get questions. A good moderator, and Maureen, I think, could do this. She looks at questions in the chat, and then people can also ask questions, and it just becomes a give and take towards the end. And people are getting so familiar with, not talking too long. And, I think they're getting comfortable with this. So that's kind of where we're at. I think I
I do
said
have a question.
Uh-huh.
Are you saying that everybody, all our panelists would be in separate places on Zoom as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we could not do something masked live with all of them interacting in the
Well,
same
okay.
space?
Live, it can be live, no matter what. I mean, in other words, when they show the housing things or any of those forums, those are live. You've got and town council and school committee. I mean, those are all live.
I don't mean, I meant in person.
Okay, in person. Well, we do that some with the school committee. We've done, and now because they're doing masks, they're doing Zoom now. So I'm not sure that, I mean, it can be done. And maybe that could even be a last minute thing that in the studio, we can't do it because we still have to wear masks. I mean, if you don't want to have the mask.
No, we're talking, the reason why.
Yeah, like you just said.
I should back up. The reason why we talked about having each of our people do a pre-recorded answer to the same question, introduction to themselves, was because we wanted people to see them unmasked. But then we were thinking, can we have a live interactive where they are masked, all in the same space, answering questions and sitting, not next to each other, but sitting, and we have already secured the high school auditorium.
Yeah. Well, then you're talking getting a camera crew there and Zoom. I don't think it's really worth it to do. You need to think about that. That really complicates it because you are using the camera, and it's like the school committee when they were really doing both, and town council too, where they had the in-person. And I mean, it's kind of becomes that. I would need to talk with Ryan. I don't think I don't think we'd really want to go to the high school theater just for that, because it's not a great theater for camera. It's a great theater for theater, but for camera, we always hate to use it because the sound and the lighting sucks. It's too bad, but it was not built for that. And now we've done those things there, of course. And if it we will definitely come film you if that's what it becomes, but I wouldn't try and do both. Yeah, now, of course, you can do the Facebook Live and the YouTube. You wouldn't do both YouTube and Facebook, and then you can share it and all that. That's a given, regardless of what it is. Yeah, I don't think that the panelists, I don't know, I know Saraton, but, I don't know. They might think it's complicated too, because when they ask questions, that gets really complicated for the question part, the give and take. I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems, and then you consider each person would either have to have a microphone or pass the microphone around.
Right, exactly.
And, you would have to, if we had them, they would have to be spaced out enough that you have to change the camera angle every time somebody talks, then it's going back and forth. Yeah. So I think that we can make the Zoom, make a live Zoom. I think we can make that work, especially if we had pre-recorded introductions. So yeah, just kind of a combination of that.
Well, and we also might as well talk about She Major, the singing group. If you're gonna get the group, they can also be pre-recorded, and it needs to be, and they're familiar with this, it needs to be something that's not copyright, that's going to set off the music, devils that hear it. They hear it on Facebook. On one of the marches, the Grand March, the music got cut off because the gurus of music heard that it was there wasn't permission to use it. But She Major should know that it's got to be TV and Facebook good. I think, I don't know if a lot of theirs is original or I don't know. But anyway, just talk to them. Now, one thing is we would love for the high school to film them if, you know, that's would be our first choice because they get cable money. They get money. And we would like them to have a chance to film. And then we would put it in wherever you said, you know, at the end or the beginning and then graphics. And also we can do like the lower thirds that say who people are, you know, it'll say so-and-so. Amy does that stuff really well. She does, and should go with the theme, although that theme seems really not real graphic. The beat the bias.
Barbara,
So,
can you spell Amy's last name for us? It's
yeah,
Couture?
Amy is, yeah, Couture. It's Couture. It's
Wow, I got it right.
I got it
Yeah,
right
it's
too.
like
I was
Couture.
surprised. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great.
he's doing the same thing right now with MLK for their video,
Okay.
but
great.
they're not doing a Zoom thing. They're just doing a finished video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had the disappointment of not, they didn't pre-plan an alternative. They thought it would be live. And then they had to cancel their original plans. So it's quite different for them because they're not on MLK Day now.
Yeah. The timing for
Yeah.
them really was not good. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and we
anything
just,
else
and we
was-
decided we would do plan A and plan B, just to be sure.
Yeah. Well, if for some reason you can just do it at the high school, then absolutely we would go and film. That could be a fairly last minute thing, but to do both wouldn't work, I don't think. I mean, but, and then you got to get your word out and you get your people there and, you know, how many register. And of course, they just show up if it's at the high school. And then you got people that are not ready either.
If it turns out that we are in person at the high school, can we still sort of integrate those unmasked introductions into
Well,
the film?
no,
No?
no, well, that depends on if the mask mandate is lifted because we can't, I mean, it's probably not, I don't know if it'll be lifted. If it's not lifted, then no, you can't do that.
But it's, a lot of people though are, even, I know I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Even when there is no mandate, I wear my mask anytime I
Right.
go indoors, everywhere, in any town I'm in.
Yeah.
So I think I would, even if we could have, if we had it in person, I still think most of our panelists will feel more comfortable if they were wearing masks.
Right. Well, the
suspect
big
that.
thing for us with WCAT is whether we can come or not, because if there's a mask mandate, we're not going to be there.
Mhm.
We can't. We really fought it. We were hoping that Anthony was going to let us do things 6 feet apart and take the mask off, but he hasn't, you know. That kind of happened with Ruth, you know, before she left.
So you're saying if there is still a mask mandate,
Yeah.
you would not do a live, an in-person, you
Well,
would not agree to it?
not without masks at all. I mean, no, we really wouldn't. If there's still a mask mandate, we wouldn't go to the high school and no, we couldn't. Yeah.
So I would almost just plan that we won't be live.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a bummer to say it out loud and but I think we have to kind of accept that it's not going to be live and
Mhm.
we plan for it. I think, Barbara, just to think about like what you're saying to us, one is getting an introduction from all of the panelists and working with Amy to film them all vertically.
Mhm.
No, horizontally, not vertically.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. She will do an email for you that
Great.
she did that. So before you tell them anything, let's get it from her.
Okay.
Yeah.
oh, so we wouldn't have to set up Zooms for them to each do their little
No.
2-minute thing?
no,
Because
no.
we're talking about 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think 2 is great. Yeah, because if
Okay.
they go more, it's okay. But
Okay. And
it's
then
okay.
for the actual event, we create the Zoom link through the town, right? That's not something
No,
WCAT provides.
we would, WCAT would
Okay.
use our link.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I went onto the community page today, the community calendar,
Mhm.
and submitted our event
Oh,
for
good.
March 8th.
Uh-huh.
And so if that gets approved, then we can, when it gets approved, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why it
Yeah.
wouldn't, but
Yeah.
when it gets approved, then we can include the Zoom link that you
Well,
send.
Jackie Powers is my contact there, and she does a registration system for it that has
Okay,
reminders. And actually, the more you can give her like graphics, the better, because then she puts this in their in their newsletter, Facebook and all, and she has a system of reminding people.
Okay.
It's great. Email, you know, her regular people and her people that are, sign up. And I don't think there's really a limit, you know.
I've
Okay.
sent her lots of stuff before on
Yeah.
other things that we've had and with the community calendar, and it'll be up on Patch, and our student members,
Yeah.
our youth council will put it up on Instagram for us because we don't have Instagram. We'll put it on Facebook. You know, we'll widely
Yeah.
distribute this.
Yeah.
And
That-
we'll
and
get
I'll
it on
do-
the digital board in town. Well, you know, I've worked with Jen McDonald on getting things
Oh,
up on the digital board as well.
Yeah.
So promo, we'll be covered with that.
Yeah. You could probably be in the kiosks on, you know, those
Oh.
kiosks on the street if you have, but you really have to have good graphics. One year you had all the people on the boat. Was that 2
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah.
Did somebody do that? I mean,
That
Yes.
was, yeah, it was a graphic designer who
Yeah.
created that. It was maybe even, I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That we had
that was
that.
really strong. Yeah.
Did
I
you
mean,
s-
it'll be short.
Did you see how our Hispanic heritage posters were all in the kiosk as well as in the digital board? And that was, and I did that with input from people in the WHRC. So we have some in-house ability to put graphics together.
Yeah.
Plus help from Jen McDonald. She's terrific.
Yeah. She's great. Yeah. We
Yeah.
got a good town here.
Yeah, we have excellent town. Yes.
So do we do a dry run before the actual event through Zoom, or is it just?
Well, that's when you really start talking with Amy. That would be a
Okay.
good question for her. She could definitely set one up for you. She's just amazing. She's been doing, you know, the housing one, you know, these are complicated. Remember the, I don't want to say it, the logo, the, you know, there's just been a lot of this, and you get the people that are comfortable with it, which is, and behind the scenes, you know, like
That's
Amy. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think that was what I had on my notes.
That's great.
Thank you so much, Barbara. This is really, really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Right.
we want to be realistic. At the same time, we really want to do a good program. And actually, we have discussed how what we're doing, having women with international backgrounds
Mhm.
of different, all kinds of ethnicities as well, on many different levels, breaks the bias.
Yeah.
So we are in line with that theme.
I think it's interesting you just said that, because one of the things about Zoom is you can spread that link all over the place and get people from all over the place. I mean, that's what's going to be amazing. And then that's why you want Amy, because of facilitating all the participants. You know, how do you get so many that it's going to be complicated? Who asks a question, you know? So that's why you want people that have been dealing with it. We have Facebook people from all over. You have the Human Rights has a Facebook page, right? Have you
Yes.
ever done your insights and show where they are, the people? Oh, come
I don't even know
on.
how to do that.
On your Facebook page, look for the word insights, and it'll
Okay.
probably be down one of the sides, insights. And then when you pull those up, somewhere it'll say people, and you pick people, and then it'll give you country, language, and city, and then it'll give you age. It'll give you men and women in bar charts. So do that. I mean, we have people, you'll get one from each African country, or one from each, you know, country in the world. But yeah, I want you all to do that tonight and see who
Okay.
your people are. Okay, if you have trouble, let me know.
It's good homework.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
I'm
That it
still
for-
trying to get the Facebook page, even though I've chosen to follow the page, it never comes to me. I never get any kind of notification of anything posted on the WHRC page.
and you did like.
I liked it. And then I
Yeah.
also, and I followed it, and it's not happening.
How
I never get
weird.
any announcements. I get it from other things, but not from WHRC. So
Then you must
obviously-
have some setting that's preventing you. You get notices from other people. I don't know.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to pretend I know this stuff because Facebook's getting weirder and weirder, you know. So
Yeah, well, I have very limited use of Facebook. It's strictly family, to tell you the truth, and then the WHRC.
yeah, right. Yeah, you just have to be on it all the time. That's why WCAT, I mean, I'm on it all the time doing WCAT. Anyway, so.
Yes. Okay, well, I guess Maria and Eileen and I need to continue talking just a little bit about our
Okay.
panel. Now that we know the lay of the land technically, and how do we get in touch with Amy Couture? Because it seems like she's there, the person we have to
Yeah.
talk to next.
Well, I'll connect you in with Ryan, and Ryan, the executive director, he really would make it official. So I'll talk to them in the next day or two. So we'll connect you. There's only 5 of us, you know. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave then. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
Have a
so
great night.
much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care.
Well, we were going to be way more, I guess, creative than we really can be. That's not going to happen. But what are we going to do about filling out our panel? Do you guys have any more leads? I mean, I got in touch with Minky, the Korean woman. I still haven't heard back from her, and I keep sending her little teaser reminders like, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I don't hear back.
Yeah.
It took a while, so I heard from Teresa and Stephanie as well, but I got back from them. But Emma said she was going to contact some people on our behalf, I believe.
Yeah.
And Eileen, didn't you know somebody who was in Melrose who might be a good candidate to be?
Yeah, he's in Medford, and he and I have dropped voicemails to each other 3 times this week. So, and I called him again today. So we're definitely trying to connect. So we'll do that.
Okay, and
Um,
where would his connections be again?
You of course would put me on the spot, and I don't know off the top of my head. But Africa.
Someplace different than what we already have.
Yes,
So like Africa or Middle East. Yeah.
definitely Africa.
Okay, great.
And his wife came here. Our kids are about the same age, so maybe 11 years ago, 10 years ago. So it hasn't been long. If we're thinking about extending outside of Wakefield, like, is there a consulate that we could reach out to that maybe someone would be able to connect us with an individual? Like, it's such a weird thing to ask, but
Is there, I missed just the one word. Is there a
like a consulate or
consulate? Okay. I mean, well, first of all, I know a woman in Linfield, at least I think she still lives in Linfield, who's Jordanian. And I haven't spoken with her in probably a couple years now, but I'd be happy to reach out to her to see if that's something that she'd be interested in doing. And then I can certainly, I mean, I would never ask people to volunteer their clients, but through the immigration lawyer network that I'm involved in, I could certainly see, I think, yeah, I can see if people know of various immigrants who are interested in speaking about their experiences. So yeah, I can definitely keep working on this.
Well, it's, you know, I know it's a month away, but February is such a short month.
Yeah.
And time just rushes by. And of course, we want to be able to do those quick, brief videos with Amy Couture's help of everyone as soon as we can. And that way people will be invested and committed to doing the process. Also, I like Eileen, I like the fact you asked her about dry run, because this week I actually was involved with a videographer using a Zoom link that I created for a client's meeting. And there was only one speaker, but he also tried to show what was going on in the room, and it was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Because, there was 60 people in the room, all without masks, because that's those people. I actually set them up and left and went to the program on live stream because I wouldn't stay in the room with those 60 people who I like, but they're not very cautious. So, so I know some of the difficulty that I still had this great hope, but I didn't realize that the high school auditorium was really that challenging in terms of being able to film it. Now we know. And I don't
I've
know.
never been in there. I'm surprised to hear the acoustics are so bad in the auditorium of all places.
Yeah,
Well,
and
its auditorium is it's more, it was originally built as a lecture hall. It was a lecture hall in the high school, and the dimensions of that room are still the same size as a large lecture hall. So, and I think, I don't know in terms of, I just remember that the soundproofing, like it was like white straw that was all
Yes.
Oh,
around
sure. Yeah.
the room. And
reverberate.
then I don't know if that's still there or, yeah, but there's not the sound, like it's like a vacuum.
Yeah, and I forgot about the fact that they can't just pass a mic around.
Right.
They each would have to have separate mics. I mean, this week, we had the videographer brought his mic, and then we tapped into, because she also had on her laptop a presentation that had sound. So he had to integrate and fill in with the hotel's sound system. But, these are all professional sound people, so they handled it. But it was just one speaker, like I said. That's a lot easier. So it looks like, okay, so right now the panel, fortunately, we have that wonderful moderator. We have Teresa from South America and Saratine from the Caribbean. I am in contact with someone, and we have Stephanie from Europe, from Germany, and I've got the East Asia. Eileen, you're working on someone from Africa, and Maria, you might know someone from Jordan. And I think that is going to be that would be a fascinating mix of people. I don't know. Do you feel good about it?
I do.
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, where is Marion from? Is she from Wakefield?
She lives in Wakefield in Greenwood, and her family is a Pakistani.
Yep. She grew up in
Like
Linfield.
Okay.
Grew up in Linfield, but she's from Wakefield, and her family is still very deeply involved in their background, their culture, their religion.
Okay. The reason I said that is, if she was sort of first generation immigrant, then maybe she becomes part of the panel if we need that, and one of the three of us become the moderator. But I don't know that necessarily makes the most sense if she's from Linfield. Right? If we're looking for the international aspect of it.
Oh, she lives in Wakefield
Linfield
now.
is a completely different world, right?
Yeah.
But not necessarily the world we're in.
Well, she lives in Wakefield, and she's a counselor.
Oh,
in
no, I know who
Wakefield.
she is,
Yeah.
but I didn't know if she grew up here or if she grew up somewhere
No.
else.
No,
Yeah.
she grew up here, but like I said, her family is deeply invested in their background and their religion.
Sure.
And I'm sure she's very familiar with the story of her family. Of course, they came here under a certain amount of privilege because her father was a doctor.
Great.
So,
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I think Maria and I we've got stuff to do. We got to contact those people, and we can add at least one more person to the mix. I think that would be great.
Okay, and I will keep on the people that I promised I've been contacting, and I'll send you some of these little notes if I can make sense of what Barbara said to us. I'm trying.
And well,
Um,
I think 6 people would be ideal. If we don't get to
Yes.
6, I think if we have at least 4, I think we're good.
Okay,
I think you're right.
well, we already have 3 confirmed. So
Yeah,
we're
One
on
more,
our
that'd
way.
be great.
Yeah, okay, excellent. When do we want to, do we need to talk again soon, or can we just send each other notes that say I've contacted and they're on board with us, or what do you want to do?
Um,
Also, who is, I wonder who Amy Couture is going to get in touch with.
I
Barbara?
wonder if it's me because Barbara's been emailing me directly.
Okay,
So
good.
if I get Amy's email, then maybe I'll coordinate a time for her to join us again.
Yes,
Would that be
And-
helpful? Okay.
because then we'd all know what needs to be done when we talk to
Yeah.
the different panelists. And we can, and can we just briefly agree on what it is that we want them to be saying during their short little videos? I was thinking it was going to be sort of who they are, where they're from, when they came here, and what were the circumstances that brought them here.
Yeah, I
And
think
then,
just a general introduction, and it doesn't need to be a super scripted. I think as people want to introduce themselves, as long as we give them like a roughly 2-minute time limit, I think we leave it up to them as to how they want to introduce themselves. I mean, certainly, where they're from, but yeah, I think people have varying comfort levels in terms of like the circumstances under which they came here. So we leave that up to them.
so I just wrote down, because everyone I've spoken to asked me what they would be asked to say, and I said, basically, who you are and where you or your family is from, and when you came here, and why did they choose to come here?
Yep. And then we should get them the questions that they'll be asked, obviously,
Yes.
ahead of time. And then we should also be thinking about planted questions between the 3 of us. If there's no questions at the end, that we could be asking in addition to. It's
Is
just
Mar-
always kind of nice, for a little extra from audience participation anyway.
Do we want Maureen to work with us on developing the questions for the interview?
I would definitely, whether or not she comes to a meeting or I can have a conversation with her, whatever works best. But yeah, I would want to discuss the questions with her first. And then once the 4 of us are in agreement, then send them out to the panelists.
Okay, so you're saying that the 3 of us can come up with questions and then run them by Maureen before we then pass them along to the panelists.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Perfect
Okay.
sense. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. We should probably, can you believe it's February 1st?
Thank God. Goodbye,
I know.
January.
January felt like an eternity, didn't it?
That was the longest January of my life.
The funny thing is, in the midst of it, it felt long. And then yesterday, when I realized it was over, it felt like it went by quickly.
Yeah, right?
I mean, I had a lot of, it was a busy month for my clients. So
Yeah.
it's just, but in the middle of it, it felt like there was never enough time. It was just,
Of course.
even though the days were going on forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The reason I say that, I wonder if we should come up with those questions and get them to Maureen at least by
we need to
the
set
week of-
deadlines.
the 14th. Yeah, so like the 18th or something like that. That's that Friday.
Yep.
That gives us like a full week, a full 2 weeks to then connect with the panelists, share it with them, that kind of thing.
The week of the 14th, yeah, that's Valentine's Day.
We also have our general meeting on Tuesday, the 15th.
Great.
Okay, so we need to then get back together again, I guess, next week and develop our questions.
Yeah. So let me see how quickly I can get to Amy Couture, and maybe she can join us like Barbara did at the beginning of the call, and then we can talk about our questions.
Okay,
That makes sense?
yeah. I'm good, you know, Thursday, Friday. I know the Thursday seemed like a good night for a lot of people. I don't know if it is or not for next week.
I could do Thursday at 7:30.
Okay, I can
don't think I
too.
could do before that.
The 10th?
Yeah, that
Is that
works.
good for you, Eileen?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, February 10th, 7:30. Okay. If you want this time, I'll send that off to Sherry.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, it's Sherry to contact Sherry, okay.
thank you.
And I don't even have to spell her name differently. Okay. So what I will do is the agenda will be develop interview questions, continue discussing logistics of the presentation. That will be basically our agenda. And
Right.
because we don't know if Amy could be there or not, so I guess I'll
Yeah,
leave
if she joins.
I'll leave it general logistics.
Okay, that's great.
Okay. Okay, so week of the 14th, we'll pass along that week because we would have met the week before. The questions for Marine's review, so that we have the questions all ready before the end of the month. And I would say that President's Day week, I guess that's a holiday, Monday. The President's Day week, we probably should start planning on that. Would be the week if Amy Couture could start filming people, so she has enough time to do all of them. Oh, wait, we have a whole week in March too. What am I talking about? There's a whole full week. But she's gonna probably want at least a week or 10 days to integrate it to put it all together properly, once she gets them all worked done. So for, I guess we can't determine a deadline for her. We'll have to ask her what her timing is.
She may even say to us, like, don't pre-film, right? She might say, let them all do their own introduction during the call. I don't know, but yeah,
I
to your
was
point, Sherry,
was
it's hard to
thinking,
say.
yeah, when Barbara said that we could not do it live, I was thinking, maybe we should uncomplicate it also. But I was thinking the same thing you just said. What do you think, Maria? Do you think we should just do it all in one piece instead of?
I mean, I do think it makes it a little more interesting having like the recorded and then the live. It's just because it's more of a variety, but I am happy to defer to Amy if she has a strong recommendation, one or the other.
Yeah. Because either way, it's talking heads.
Right.
It's just, it'll be speaker view, whoever's speaking ends up on although if they're going to do a panel, I guess all their faces will be showing at one time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it switch to speaker view when one person is responding?
I think WCAT can.
You
That's
can
something
pin
I'm not
it.
sure. I think they can keep it as a full panel view, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's different Zoom settings where you can set it so that it's that way. And if people join the Zoom, you can make sure that they're hidden and they can't, like, they'll be able to set all of that up for us, which is great that we don't have to do that. That is fantastic. I've
Yes.
been the one having to do that and it's a pain in my butt. So yeah, happy
And
to have someone else do
actually,
it.
I just thought of something. I was just in the library today too. I'm in there like all the time. So do you want me to talk to Jackie?
About using the registration system?
Yes, yes.
Sure.
Okay. In that case, you know what, Maria? You contact Sherry. I'll talk to Jackie.
All right.
Okay. And because Eileen's talking to Amy.
Yep.
Yeah, we each have our little jobs to contact. Yeah, because we want to make sure it's secure and we don't end up getting Zoom bombed or anything like that. And, you know, they have, I'm sure, the way they handle it so that they don't have problems.
Yeah.
I know I never do a Zoom without passwords ever because of having been Zoom bombed. Okay,
Scary.
I know. It's what it is, it's disturbing.
Right.
but you think people have better things to do, you know. Okay, so now it is 8:15 and we should sign off and go on with our nights.